And he said to me, of course, you know, he's a superintendent. I'm only a lowly inspector. I'm not sure that I can take this allegation. I said, cut the bullshit. You're a police officer, I'm a police officer. You know damn well that I could stop any police officer in the country, anywhere in the street, and ask them to record the allegation, and they record it, and it is simply recorded and passed on to the complaints division. And he said, well, I'll have to check. I said, fine, but if you come back here and you tell me that you're not going to deal with this, then I will in fact get in my car, drive into London, and I will have the Metropolitan Police climb all over you. And he said, okay, I'll record the allegation. Wonderful when you know the system, isn't it? And he then came along, and within 3 weeks, I have a Chief Inspector Howard from the Complaints Department in my living room, and he said to me, we've cleared the superintendent. I said, did you read all of the documentation that I submitted evidencing the sedition and the treason? He said, I glanced at it. I said, did you read it? And he said, no. I said, well, until you've actually determined yourself whether the crimes of sedition and treason have occurred, how can you possibly say you've cleared it? And he said, well, the reason we're not going to investigate it is because we don't want the Chief Constable's photograph and the crime book number on the front page of every newspaper saying that she is the Chief Constable investigating the government for treason. So I said, well, you're not entitled to make a decision based on that. The law says that you are required, the oath you took said that you would carry out the office of constable to the best of your ability and without fear or favour, malice or ill will. You're now standing in front of me telling me you are not prepared to keep your word, your oath, because it involves picking up the odd cabinet minister or 10. That is not a way that you are legally allowed to make that decision. And he said, well, we're not going to do it. He said, but the reason we're not going to do it is if in fact we got any convictions against any of his people, which we probably could on the evidence that you have supplied, and the evidence I have supplied is nothing to what is available to them, because they, if they arrest Douglas Hurd, will go out and seize all of his diaries, his computer disks, his bank statements, the whole lot, and they'll find out where his money actually comes from. They'll find out exactly how deeply into this he was involved, but he was Ted Heath's private personal secretary, so it was up to his neck without even thinking about it. So they will get convictions. But they are not prepared to convict, to prosecute any of his people, because if they get a conviction, which they probably could on the evidence supplied, they would have to go out and arrest every government minister for the last 35 years and charge them with treason. And that they are not prepared to do. So I said to him, well, you're not entitled to make that decision either. Your oath says without fear or favour, malice or ill will. Government ministers in this country are not above the law. And you took an oath to uphold the law. I wrote to his boss the same day and I told him how unhappy I was about this state of affairs. We get back letters saying it's all finished and done with, so I'm in the process at the moment of reporting Thames Valley Police, named officers in Thames Valley Police, to John Yates at Scotland Yard for the criminal offence of compounding treason. John Yates, I have to say, is wriggling like hell. Because if he convicts any of those, and I've told John Yates, it makes no difference to me who I convict. I can convict Hurd & Co. of treason. I can convict Thames Valley police officers for misprision of treason or compounding treason. Or I can convict you for misprision of treason. In every case, the minute I get a conviction, I have proved that the 72 Act was brought about by treason at the highest levels of government in this country, and it cannot be permitted to stand. And once it has been taken out of the way, then in fact, we are no longer in the European Union. Now I have a plan. Brian Garish describes it as the most cunning of cunning plans. But I need your help. Because what I want you to do is I want you to buy one of these off of me or off of David for a couple of quid. I want you to take it away. I want you to print it out as hard copy. And I want you to take it into your local police station. And I want you to say, I want to report a crime. I want to cover 25% of the police stations in this country. About 900 police stations. Now it's a lot, I realise that, but it's not an insurmountable lot. It can be done if we have the will. Now you report it to your police station, and your police station throw it back at you. So you then submit a formal complaint for serious neglect of duty and misprision of treason against the officer that wrote you the letter telling you to get lost. And the complaints department for that police station's area will throw it out. So you then go to your next nearest police force area and you report your police force to that police force for the criminal offence of compounding treason. And the object of the exercise is this. I want every single police force in this country investigating every other single police force in this country for the criminal offence of compounding treason. Sooner or later, we are going to find a chief constable who's not common purpose, who's not a Freemason, and who's not completely without a brain, and he's going to say to himself, this is bloody dangerous. I could lose my job, my pension, and spend the rest of my life in prison. Do I really want to do that to keep Douglas Hurd, St John Stevens, Margaret Thatcher and a few others out of prison? No, I don't. And the minute he asks himself the question and answers it with a no, I don't, he will pick up his telephone, send for his best detective chief superintendent and say, take this away, investigate it, get me convictions. And once we have a single conviction, we have proved that the 72 Act was brought about by treason at the highest levels of government. And it is treason. We know it is treason because they are surrendering our rights to govern to a foreign power. Now you heard John Bingley talking about the Constitution today. I've been studying the Constitution very closely. But I've gone further back. A bit like John Harris, who's going to be talking to you later, I've looked at the history of the Constitution and how it developed. I'm not going to impinge on what John is going to tell you because it's very interesting what he has to say. But what I am going to tell you is this. Alfred the Great was told by the Pope he had to have a bishop. an archbishop. And Alfred refused that archbishop on the grounds that he had somebody that he would prefer for the job. And the Pope told him, "You are King of England because I make you Pope, I make you King. Because I make every king in the world." And Alfred said, "Not me. I was elected by the people of England to represent the people of England, to protect the people of England. And I don't want your archbishop, I have one of my own that I want. If you want me to do something, ask me nicely. And I will consider it. But don't tell me because the answer is going to be get lost." Probably not what Alfred actually said, but it's what he meant.